Hello, and welcome to Faithful to the Traitors. We are discussing Series 2 of the US version of the Traitors on this sad day.
I should have worn black.
If you had any respect for Ekin-Su, you would have.
Oh, then I don't, so I'm glad that I wore what I wore. I mean, she was the obvious choice, wasn't she? Remember, she's beautiful, she's gorgeous, why wouldn't they vote her on?
I am Ben, and I am in mourning.
Oh, sorry, hello, I'm Alex, and yeah.
Not playing along with the funeral.
No, because I'm not in mourning, am I? I've told you that. Okay, sorry, I'm Alex, and I'm the, I don't know.
The horse.
I'm the horse, yeah. I'm the one trotting along, pulling the carriage with all those celebrities from America. I should have thought, if you told me you were doing a thing, you never tell me these things.
Well, I'd never know until it happens, you see.
Well, you should have told me, because then I could have found something to wear, but there's nothing.
Not even a black rose.
I don't have a black rose. I could have brought the producer in.
Producer Charlie, the black cat, yeah.
Black cat, he could have come in and given us some kind of blackness, but no. I didn't realise this was a theme. Sorry, how am I meant to know these things?
Okay.
I can't read your mind. That's why you'd be good on the Traitors, you see. Because one minute you're this, one minute the other. People will know where to go.
Exactly.
Like, and to get a tiny little name from MJ, Ben, written in.
I know, she needs to up her font, doesn't she, MJ? It's because she's so used to writing her name just MJ, so she doesn't need to do big font.
Yeah, but you think if someone had a short name that they would write it larger,
really big,
to make it fill up the space.
Quite an eventful episode, this one. Lots was going on.
Yes.
In about 1.5 seconds, we heard that someone had left the show.
Yeah, I know. That was like
voiceover.
It was just like, unfortunately, Denate has left. And then they showed his picture with the red cross through it. They didn't really mention it either, did they? None of the contestants mentioned it.
It's a bit sad.
Alec didn't mention it. No, it was kind of like, what was the reasoning? I suppose he was finding the game a bit difficult, to be fair.
Yes, bless him. So, yes, I mean, we obviously lost Deontay. Should we just do a quick one then before we start?
You do, I should let people know that they can get in touch with us on faithfulatthetraitors@gmail.com. They can find us on X @TraitorsPodcast, Instagram @FaithfulToTheTraitors. If you're watching us on YouTube, hello, you can comment underneath the video and don't forget to subscribe, click the bell and give us a thumbs up so you never miss a future episode of Faithful to the Traitors podcast when we do the roundup of the episode, or America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, UK, wherever.
Any future countries.
Any future countries, as long as they're speaking English. You can find us by searching Faithful to the Traitors on YouTube or on Google. And if you're listening to us, don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and give us 5 stars if you enjoy listening to the show, so it helps the show grow. Also, you can give us a little bit of coinage, if you like, by going to buymeacoffee.com/faithful.
Well done. Yes, that's correct. So we did lose one, so we're going to have to do a quick.
What's your name and where do you come from?
Okay, so poor Deontay. I feel sorry for him, actually, that he left. It was just too much for him.
I know, it really overwhelmed him, didn't he? And to be fair, he was the only one, really, who came from a background which wasn't either reality television or where you were kind of used to having this tussle, this word tussled with words. Like Deontay's background is more using physical, not violence, because boxing is kind of an art, isn't it? But using violence to kind of like let his emotions out. And Deontay clearly was quite emotional.
I did look
person, and we liked his poetry as well.
Exactly. I did try and find some quotes from since he left, and he basically did say that he didn't expect this game show to unlock what it did, and it sort of hit some sort of childhood trauma that he didn't realise he had.
Oh, really?
So that's all I can say. But I didn't find exact quotes. But we're going to do the fact file before all this happened, okay? Mm-hmm. So Wilder is a professional boxer who held the WBC heavyweight title from 2015 all the way to 2020. He won a bronze medal in the heavyweight division at the 2008 Olympics and earned the nickname the Bronze Bomber. He's got an amazing knockout to win percentage, but will that translate when it comes to a room of celebrities who need a softer hand in this game of wits?
Well, that's exactly what I just said. So he's more used to kind of like the way of boxing, but then if he
turns out the celebs are more hardy. Non-emotional than he was.
Unfair. No, that's unfair. He's clearly no. How dare you?
Well, no, because it says on the end it will he, because it's celebrities, will he need a softer hand? It's like, no, he was the one who was actually finding it more emotional than the celebs. So
yeah,
you just never know, do you?
I feel a bit sorry for him, really, because obviously this wasn't kind of like the right place for him to be. I don't know. It's weird. I guess that hopefully he's getting, if it has opened something up, hopefully he's getting the help that's going to kind of guide him toward a more peaceful mind. But it's just like he seemed like the most sensible one of them all, though. That's the mad thing. Like they're all like heightened. They all are still heightened in the way they're kind of like perceiving themselves, and like
especially those housewives.
Well, I mean, they're team housewives now, aren't they? They're sticking together like glue. Which again. Oh, how many times do I have to say this? This doesn't work on a show like this, because eventually you will have to go against your fellow housewives, because one of them is a traitor to begin with. But also, what's more, like, it's having alliances in this game doesn't work. It's not that kind of game.
Because even Sandra was like, well, I'm going to start going for the competitive people. No matter what, we're going to stick together. And I think Fedra also said that about the housewives. And it's like, that's not going to work, Fedra. But
Who are you talking about? Oh, Fedra, sorry. Because if you say her name, like I'm scanning through all the different names, and you said Sandra as well. Who's Sandra? Do you mean Cherie?
Sandra.
Where's Sandra?
She's the one from Survivor.
Oh,
she's got a cut on her head.
She's sorry.
They've all got injuries on their head. Have you noticed?
Yes,
two injuries so far. One on Sandra's forehead and one on Bergie.
I want to give him a little kiss on his forehead just to make it feel better and heal it. Poor Bergie.
Listen to Bergie. He knows what he's talking about.
He does. He didn't listen. He didn't say much to say this episode though, so he didn't have anything to listen to. He decided to stay quiet in the background. And then when he voted and he gave the reasons why, Larsa looked up and said, "Prepare to die." He was like, "God's sake, Larsa, that's how you win friends and influence."
It's amazing. I think the housewives, how they are quite funny or whatever as they're just playing the game. But the second anyone turns on what the housewives, you kind of see their true personality really quickly. It reminds me of last series with Kate. I don't think Kate was a housewife. She was like a below deck. But like, do you know what I mean? Like when they've turned on someone, they suddenly go really horrible, mean, and personal, like within like a snap. And that's what I thought Larsa did. It's like the second someone said her name, it's like she changed. It's like, oh, okay, this is the real Larsa, is it?
We should play them at their own game and just say like, that's not necessary. We're meant to be looking for a traitor, and then they'll probably just go crazy because then they're not like feel like they've got the power. I mean, let's be honest. I do feel like the housewives are kind of scurrying around together everywhere around the house, kind of looking at clues and talking together. Like I say, it makes no sense to do that, because what happens if the final now 4, because there's only 4 housewives. Is there 3 left?
3,
but MJ's part of their clique as well, isn't she?
Yeah, I'm guessing her TV show is a housewife-esque show. I have no idea.
I guess so. But they're like, what happens if they're 4 of the last 4 in the game, and like Phaedra's won, and it just doesn't make sense. This is what I mean. Cliques and alliances do not work in this game. And now what's happened is, and it's something that happens in a lot of reality TV shows like Big Brother, is that they've now divided into 2 groups. There's the housewives, who they call themselves the reality clique.
Yeah, so that's like Kevin, Bling Empire, I'm guessing is that, MJ is that, and then the housewives.
Yeah, and John, British politician, he's part of them as well. Yeah, but he's joined in with them as well, although he feels uncomfortable.
I think he just bundles around, really.
Yeah, but he looks uncomfortable with them. But then the battle line is then in the middle between then the gamers or the competitive reality stars.
When Sandra said, "I'm a gamer," I was like, what? I thought she was like a computer, like she liked play computer when she said it to the camera. I was like, oh, so she play lots of video games and she likes puzzles, and I was like, oh no, wait, she meant gamers as in
competitive reality show.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So now they've done this divide between them, and it's just so unnecessary, because now they're not looking for traitors. They're just looking at getting rid of the other team.
It's turned into...
It's not how this game works,
I know,
you bloody idiot.
It's turned into Survivor, where they're into
tribes.
Tribes, and then they merge the tribes, but then the tribes still stay loyal to each other. That's basically what this has happened.
Which is not
it's taken
what this show is.
It's taken 4 episodes. And they've turned it into Survivor. But it's fine. We're still here.
But it's not fine, though, because like they've not found one traitor yet. There's been 3 banishments, and they've not found one traitor yet. And there's been 3, well, a 4th murder on the way. So that means 7 people have been eliminated.
Good. That's what they deserve.
And they're not found one traitor.
Well, you have to do it well, because obviously Fedra is sticking all with the housewives, not doing good. But Parvati, she was best friends with Parvati. Yes, Parvati.
You said Parvati.
Oh, I always say Parvati.
It's like sounds... English poshness to your tone. Parvati.
She
don't dignify that
She
name
was she was best friends with Ekin Su. She hugged her, poisoned her. No one suspects. So she did it. She did the right thing.
Well, yes, there's a few shout outs during the breakfast table of whether Peter brought up that it must be someone sharing a drink. So Peter's getting, I have to say, Peter is getting quite cunning. He's beginning to find a few of the routes into it.
He must. I think he self-tanned overnight as well.
Well, he said it was a good night's sleep.
Glowing.
But that's what happens when you fall asleep in a tanning bed. And I think CT kind of mentioned also that he thought that it might have been a chocolate.
Yeah,
she had a box of chocolates or something.
Yeah, sorry, or a fondue or something. Yeah.
And so that might have been it. And everyone said that it couldn't have been Kevin because Kevin was eating all the food and not sharing it with anyone.
Yeah.
Which Kevin was like, yeah.
Yeah, well,
because Kevin can't eat with his mouth closed.
No, that did come up, didn't it? I think it was Larza who said, I want to vote him out. Or was it Tamara? One of the two was like, I just want to vote him out because I don't like how he eats.
Oh, who said that? You want to know who said
that?
that? Tamara finds Kevin annoying and believes he's a traitor for that reason.
Yeah, you can't eat properly.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, MJ felt the same way as well. She felt like that Kevin's too alpha, but Alpha said, to be fair to Kevin, he did then reply with, thank you very much, but flattery will get you nowhere because I'm not. And to be fair, I thought, good on you, Kevin, that's a good point.
It did make me laugh when Larza was like, it's got to be an alpha man. And I was like looking there thinking, who exactly are you looking at, Larza, here? Because
I can see where she gets CT from, being alpha. He does present himself as being kind of like a very... You know,
but then even he said, "It's like you're giving me way too much credit. I'm way too not done, but I'm not up there."
Yeah,
but
why would I get rid of other men? I'm not that I'm not fragile enough to allow that to be like a problem for me. Which is again is like Larsa seems to think that she's talking to like men from like the 1950s who like have this very fragile ego and have to get rid of other men in order to feel better about themselves.
So it's really odd how it's turning out, but it's fine.
It's not odd because this is almost what happened in the last, for some bizarre reason. It's because American reality TV is such a big presence in America. It's like in the UK, yes, we have reality TV, but it's almost a footnote in our television. Do you know what I mean? In America, it's almost like one of the big genres that people watch, and because of that, people think that it has a certain set pattern. And with this show, that's not the case. But they're just going back into their normal stream. And I'm sorry, but I have to say what CT said also about, like, was it CT? I think Dan brought it up. I think a couple of people brought it up. The fact that, like, the housewives literally act for their career.
No, we don't. We're ourselves.
No, they do, because they know they do, because they have writers. They have writers on the Writers Guild who write scripts for them. So they're told what to do. And they have to learn the script.
In the UK, we call it constructed reality. I don't know if they have the same thing in America.
It's the same term, but yes, it's called constructed reality.
I suppose they've got to say they've got to protect their image. Like, no, it's truly us. We're not giving conversation topics to talk about. No.
No, of course not.
They're not actors. But Kevin is, apparently. He said that to someone. So who knows what's going on?
Yeah, Kevin's on Bling Empire, but they said the same about CT. They both say they're actors. So I'm presuming they're trying to forge a career in Hollywood and trying to get themselves a job, like as actors.
Well, CT can play a London gangster over here quite easily.
I mean, if they made an American version of Peaky Blinders, CT should literally find his agent, give him a call, and say, "Hey, this is literally the part that I've been made for." Because I've said literally a lot because I'm that dedicated to this cause that he should be doing Peaky Blinders, the remake and or America version. Well, they make a remake. They wouldn't just finish the.
Yeah. So with the mission, this one they won 0 out of 20,000 because they had to guess who had been poisoned.
Yeah.
They marched along their own funeral, eliminated each other.
Funeral.
Yeah, but they eliminated each other to see who was going to die until there was 3 left.
Mm-hmm.
It was MJ, Ekin-Su,
and Dan.
And Dan? No.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was Parvati. Sorry,
Parvati.
my bad. Yeah, MJ, Ekin-Su, and Parvati.
Yes, and they had to put roses in to guess which one was which. And
Parvati used it as a nice rest. She had her eyes closed the whole time.
Yeah, she had to do a bit of acting,
and she was happy.
But Ekin-Su was like, "Oh, no roses on me. I'm okay." Every single person voted for MJ because they thought that's the only obvious thing that a traitor would do.
Ekin-Su did also kick off, which ruffled a lot of feathers. It's like, well, fine, I murdered them. and then started storming around, stomping her feet as she was walking down the march, and everyone that kind of got a few people up. Janelle being the main one, because obviously there's a thing between Janelle and Ekin-Su.
And Trishelle wasn't there as well. I think everyone has a thing against Ekin-Su. It's a bit like no one seems to be bothered that she was poisoned. No,
because nothing was mentioned afterwards. Everyone was just like, oh well, close the coffin and walked off.
No one's trying to work out who did it or what happened to her. They were just like, Ekin-Su's annoying, and it's like, okay, she's let down the UK.
Yeah, she has.
Now we're just left with John representing us. So,
I mean, that's a sad thing that like the best of the UK they could find was Ekin-Su and John Burko from.
Yeah, the only ones who could.
That's us represented on the American version of the Traitors there.
Right, so Ekin-Su, do you want to do her fact file then?
No, I don't.
She's from Love Island UK.
Is she?
It's one sentence, so it's okay.
Good.
The winner of Love Island UK Series 8, Ekin-Su, is a model and TV host. Most recently, she was a competitor on Dancing on Ice Series 15, was she?
Oh, hang on. Dancing on Ice, for any American listeners, is Dancing with the Stars, but
on ice.
On ice, yeah, basically.
And really bad.
Yeah, the ITV decided that the BBC weren't going to get their own way on this one, and so they made their own version on ice.
Well, this is really pulling at strings. And also, she was on the BBC One game show The Wheel as an expert.
Expert of what?
Love Island? I don't know.
I bet it is with Love Island or reality TV. They have The Wheel in America, so I don't need to. They have the same presenter, did you know?
Do they?
It's the same guy. Mad, isn't it? You think his humour wouldn't translate very much?
Well, I can't find. I was going to do a quick cut.
I'm not that interested. I'll be honest with you, and I don't think anyone.
I just want to know what her
either, because it's Ekin-Su. What was her question?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was trying to find out what her expertise was, but it's fine. So, yeah, she left, and then.
Well, she's ready to forge a big career in America now.
That's true.
Maybe she could do Real Housewives of, I don't know.
Ekin-Su.
Of Ekin-Su. Yeah. Real Housewives of Essex or something like that. Actually, they have that.
Yeah. So then it was time for the banishment, and really, well, before they went into it, they thought it was between two people, didn't they?
But there was a thing that everyone was kind of scurrying around each other and saying this is going to be a vote between Larsa and CT.
Because CT's the alpha. Because the housewives gathered around the pictures and went through the men. They were like, he's not alpha, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Poor Bergie.
Poor John. Not him.
Definitely not him.
And then decided on CT. So it looks like it was that. And then the gamers were like, well, we're going to have to get rid of a housewife. So they were then going, let's all go Larsa.
Well,
so
because the Real Housewives
started.
were basically going for anyone who's male, and obviously there's no male Real Housewife characters there.
No,
so the gamers...
Marcus is gone.
Of course. So they all got together and they just kind of said, well, if they're going to start gang warfare, we're going to start that too. And that's what I mean. And so this is what happened. To be fair, it didn't really work out that way, though, because halfway through the discussions at the round table between it being Larsa and CT, another name came up, which was Kevin. And Kevin got brought up by MJ because she was alpha. But then also, as you said, a few people started jumping on that bandwagon, Tamra, by saying that Kevin was a traitor because he was being he's acting a lot. You could see he was very performative, the way he was like the way he was playing games, and also the way he was around the round table.
So, have any of these people watched themselves? Because all of them are acting up, I'm afraid.
Well,
so we've got...
Oh, my Lord, sweet baby Jesus.
They're all there for the sound bites.
Well, we haven't even mentioned that at the breakfast table. Parvati... Dan and Phaedra didn't know that Parvati had chosen Ekin-Su, and Phaedra got a bit nervous about Parvati having done Ekin-Su, because Phaedra on the banishment the night before had voted for Ekin-Su, so she felt like the finger was being pointed in her direction. And then at the round table this episode...
That finger extends.
She did. It was like Pinocchio's nose. It started getting longer and longer and tickling Phaedra's chin. And she started saying that people should start looking toward the Real Housewives, and openly and publicly at the round table, Phaedra was like, don't you start coming our way, don't you start pointing things our way, that's don't put the heat on us. And you could see Parvati was a bit like, okay, whatever. And I think she thought like she kind of got away with it, like she thought that Phaedra was playing the game alongside with her, but as we'll find out in a minute at the Traitors Tower, that was not the case. Parvati made a grave mistake. Sorry.
Someone commented on our Instagram, because we said we're doing this series.
Our Instagram, @Faithful to the Traitors.
Yes, and they said, excited to hear your takes on Phaedra and to see if her charm is translating across the Atlantic.
I quite like Phaedra.
Yeah,
we've said on a few episodes that I don't mind Phaedra. Thing is, though, that actually, as I've said already, I actually quite like all the Traitors. And in a weird way, although she does remind me a little bit of like a head teacher, Parvati is kind of growing on me too, by the way she's kind of playing this sneaky game behind Phaedra and to some extent Dan's back. Because Dan is clearly not the alpha male in that group.
Because he is.
He thought he was, and Phaedra gave him enough rope to kind of start to hang himself, I think. And I think he's trying to grab Parvati now onto his side so they both can get Phaedra out. And they know it's a dangerous game to play because of the Real Housewives situation.
I know. I do wonder as well if the Housewives... I've never seen an episode of the Housewives, so I am literally being very... what's the word? Like, I'm just putting them all in one thing and just assuming something.
All I know is that they do total colour when they hold apples like it's Desperate Housewives. And they do those live shows at the end of every series.
Yeah, and they always have a fight through. Yeah, that's what I mean. So
performative.
I do wonder if the producers are worried having Housewives on the show because, like, if they were voted out, I can imagine them, like, not caring and just throwing the whole game and being like, I'm a traitor, but you are traitors, and then walking on. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a fear there in me that I think that, like, Phaedra will just...
I think Phaedra
not Phaedra,
actually.
But, like one of the Housewives, like Larsa almost. I could just imagine her.
Larsa didn't. I thought Larsa left it in dignity. I thought she really actually was. I was the same as you. But
I thought it could happen with...
It could happen.
Having those type of contestants on this show. I wonder how easy it would be for them to spoil the whole series just out of because they're just annoyed.
I mean, they might be told. They might be contractually told that if you're not allowed to do that. Yeah, but then they might lose. They might be part of their payment. Do you know what I mean? And all it takes for them to say is you won't get paid if you do that. Then they'll be like, no, okay, we won't.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
But I thought Larsa's exit. I was like you. I was waiting for her to be all bitchy and be like, right, you're a bitch and you're a twat and I hate you and you're all wankers and you don't know what you're doing.
All right, is she American or British?
Well, I don't know.
I don't think Americans say twats and wanker.
Well, if she did, that's what she would have said. But she didn't. Larsa, actually, I respected Larsa's exit. She said, thanks so much. I've had a really good time and I've been a faithful from the beginning. And I actually, when she did that, my opinion of her rose. To be fair, I never had a bad opinion of Larsa either.
I almost did towards the end. Around the round table, I was kind of seeing bits that I don't like.
But then she was fighting for her life, don't forget. You have to remember that when it gets to the round table, it does get a little bit more scrappy and a little bit more dirty. And you do then start to kind of fight to kind of, if your name gets thrown out, you then have to really, if you don't, then you're seen as weak. And a lot of people kind of go for that immediately and vote you out for that reason too. It's a real fine line of how you can defend yourself at that round table. If you push too hard, people think you're fighting too hard. If you don't fight enough, people think you're not fighting enough. I think it's a tricky one. I would hate to be in that situation where I'm sat around that round table and have my name thrown out because I think I would just kind of go,
you'd panic.
Okay then, and then write my own name on the board and be like, I want to vote myself out.
We haven't had a panic yet, but I'm assuming that will be Bergie's time to shine. But I don't want to assume. Do you think that he's going to panic? We all know he is.
If I was the presenter and I saw Bergie having a little breakdown, I'd go behind his shoulder. I'd hold his shoulder and give it a little squeeze. But then Bergie would probably confuse that, thinking he's
now a traitor.
Yeah, and then turn up at the tower and be like, Bergie, what are you doing here? I'm a traitor.
Do you think it's fair that Phaedra is kind of blaming Parvati that she's thrown her under the bus by saying one of the housewives is a traitor, but she went for Larsa, didn't mention Phaedra, and Larsa's faithful. So do you not think that's actually not throwing Phaedra under the bus because people will not go for housewives because of that?
The thing is that I think a lot of people believe, and it has to be said, even in the housewives group, there's a kind of a small suspicion now. I think Cherie brought it up that at least one of them must be a traitor. And I think it's almost kind of like knocking out the odds if you get rid of one and they're faithful. But also I think it goes down to base friendship, and that is the fact that Phaedra's thinking to herself, well, we're all from the Housewives franchise, so we all stick together. I feel like there's a little bit of that there, which is, like I said, that's not how the game's played, Phaedra. It's a bit disappointing the way that you've done that. It's not the way you do things.
So obviously Larsa left. She was banished.
Oh, yes.
So, an original cast member of The Real Housewives of Miami, Larsa is the ex-wife of former NBA player Scottie Pippen. She has made the... No idea who that is. She has made the rounds on many of the celeb-centric reality shows.
Oh, really?
Surprises me.
Shocking.
I thought this was her first one.
I would have thought they would have done something.
But she was a
like that.
virgin. So she has plenty of prior friendships and competitor knowledge that could help her in this game.
I don't like that they... See, this is another thing that bugbears me, is that there is that kind of like history.
Yeah, because Janelle and CT and... No, Trishelle and CT are kind of teaming up because they're like, we're on the same series, but we didn't like each other, but he's grown up, so now we're going to form a alliance.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah, and Sandra had a thing about other...
Parvati, yeah. They're on the same series of Survivor.
Survivor, that's it, Parvati. Although Sandra seems to be like a bit of a lone cowboy.
I like it though because she was. I think people were expecting her to be a traitor, and I'm glad the producers didn't do it. Like I said in the original, I think it's interesting to see a Survivor winner who's a good game player be a faithful. It's interesting to see that side.
Before, haven't they?
Yeah, last series there was a Survivor was a traitor.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay, not to spoil that. If you not watched it
episode 1,
if you not watched it from a year, then I think you should have watched it.
So I think that's interesting, and she's playing quite a sensible game. She's being a bit quiet. She's observing. She's saying some sensible things. So
Sandra's mixing herself. She's kind of doing what Maxim attempted to do, and that's mixing herself into groups and getting herself liked. But I think she's kind of ruined her opportunity of ever being invited back to the Real Housewives. Royal? Christ, I'm really stepping them up. Real Housewives. Now she voted for Larsa along with everyone else.
Yeah, that's true.
Or a lot of the others.
So the turret, we didn't even get to who they're going to murder, did we? Because there was like daggers, eyelashes at dawn.
Phaedra and Parvati were just looking at each other, and Dan was just sat there and like, something's about to happen.
I think she was a bit taken aback by Phaedra's reaction to it. I don't think she didn't think she did anything that bad. I'm assuming.
That's what I mean. I think she thought that Phaedra kind of saw why she did the gameplay, but actually Phaedra didn't see that side of it at all. But again, I must say that Phaedra did come out with a very sensible reasoning for why she felt hurt by what Parvati had done. She said that I've been playing fair with you two this whole game. I've not thrown either of you under the bus. I've made sure your names have kept out of people's mouths, and I've looked after you both. And, you know, what you have done to me tonight has kind of gone counter to our game plan. And my favourite quote of all time, possibly from any Traitors game, is, whether any Traitors game from this series, was when she said, if you carry on this way, both of you will have more problems than the faithful. And I thought, okay, fair. So she sees herself as in a very strong position as well, which is quite an interesting thing to say, not only because she said that to Dan and Parvati as a warning, but it's the way her mind is working. She's kind of accidentally let out a little bit of information about how she feels her position is in this situation. And clearly, she sees herself as Queen Bee right now. She sees herself as top of the pile.
Well, I don't think anyone is actually suspecting her. So
no.
But I think the only ones that they are suspecting out of the Traitors is actually Dan. I think Dan is on the most dangerous thing.
Dan's name keeps getting pointed out,
So we don't even know who may be murdered. We don't know anything. So we have nothing to theorise before the next episode.
No, but then we've probably got lots and lots to talk about on the next episode. So people really should join us.
How can they, if they want to?
Well, they join us by going on their favourite podcast app, listening to us, subscribing, and giving us 5 stars so more people can listen to us. So we feel like we can make much, much more episodes with the high quality that is my creaking chair. Did you hear my creaking chair? Yes.
Here's a screw.
Well, what about the chair, though? You can go to YouTube and watch the podcast. And if you do watch the podcast by searching Faithful to the Traitors on YouTube or Google, you can then go underneath the comments and write comments of what you're thinking about how the show's getting along as well. You can also find us on X at Traitors Podcast, Instagram at Faithful to the Traitors, and faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com is our email address. As I said on YouTube, don't forget subscribing, the bell, notifications, all that guff. And if you want to help us out, you can also go to buymeacoffee.com/faithful and throw us a silver coin or a gold bar our way to help me buy a new chair that doesn't creak quite so much.
You can take it from Banana's cold, dead hands in his grave.
Why not? So, from his jacket. He stole it first of all, you know?
I wonder if he was buried with it. So until the next episode then, remember, stay faithful.
Cheerio, chaps.